All right, guys, welcome back to part two. We're almost there and ready to get in do the fun stuff of the open water. So hopefully you guys have picked up a couple of things so far. Miss Nada Sullivan, what have you learned thus far? Mhm. Yeah, your breather, your thing you suck air on, regulator. How about you, Miss Sullivan? What'd you learn? Mm-hmm. Absolutely, take your time. How about you, Mrs. Sullivan? Learned about the okay? Good. Hey, if that's what you learned, that's good. How about you, Mr. Sullivan? What'd you learn? I think you'll pull it off first dive. I got you. What did you learn? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. How about you? What'd you learn?
The book pretty much covers what you cover.
Absolutely. I try and make sure. So now here's the kind of heads up. And then following classes, you have to read the book because there's about 50% of stuff in the book that I probably won't cover that I don't find to be as important, and that you are just as capable of reading it as I am of reading it off to you. But as you guys may have learned, there's also things that I will cover that will not absolutely be in the book. Team diving is a great example of that. They talk a lot about buddy diving. I'm going to tell you about team diving. So there'll be a lot of those things, and a lot of the personal stories and personal examples of life as well. So that's really what I wanted to make sure you get. What did you learn?
Hmm. It's retake the whole thing in imperial.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Which I actually kind of like. I like both the imperial and metric.
Well, when you get into tech diving, metric is so much easier.
It is. Even when I did it the first time I did it all in metric by accident, and the numbers they line up.
They do. The great thing with metric is every 10 meters is an atmosphere.
Yeah, bar pressure.
Bar pressure is so much easier, but it's 33.99 or 33.66.99 and so on. 132 is each additional pressure, so it definitely makes it a lot too. Sweetheart, what'd you learn?
I think I took straight from like the different principles of diving. Like I always check the gear, the conditions,
Mm-hmm.
forget the name,
Yeah,
that list.
good. What'd you learn?
There's a lot to learn.
There is a lot to learn as you got to go through this curve. Um, so my level of this game is I'm considered what's called a master instructor. It's the second highest level of open water instructor that's available. There's only one more level, and I take a 7-day seminar and I become an instructor, what's called instructor trainer. So I'm a master instructor, right? And then I'm also a technical dive instructor. Tons of dives. I learn new stuff every week. This is what I read, and Nikki will tell you this is what I study and learn, and I'm constantly learning something new. I'm constantly evolving my instruction and moving through that process. Even after all my dives, I promise you there's so much that I'm still learning and still growing. And now some of the stuff that I'm learning is more esoteric and definitely in the weeds, if you will, and something that you probably won't run into in quite a while, but there's so much to learn. There's if this was the encyclopedia, we've just covered the preface of the first book. There is of section A, so there's a lot more to learn. So let's talk a little bit about adaptation to the aquatic environment. One of the things that we deal with is vision, temperature, and the constant waves of light. So let's talk about the waves of light. One of the things you might have noticed in our video of jumping off the boat is we had a light, right? It, yeah, it was a big pink light that was on my wrist. It's the light beams white, but I like my hot pink lights, right? It's kind of fun. One of the things you should start knowing. Anybody remember Roy G. Biv from? Yeah, Roy. You got your reds, your oranges, your yellows, and so on, right? As we go deeper in the water column, the wavelengths of light are diminished and they stop being able to penetrate. So as we get down to about 15 feet, we start losing our reds. About 30 feet are oranges. About 60 feet are yellows, and then greens, and then everything turns into monochromic blue. Did you guys notice on that dive video that when the light wasn't shining on something directly, everything looked blue? With a light at 60 feet, it's great. If you don't have the light on, you may be swimming along and you may see this wonderful blue fish until you flash a light on it, and then it becomes yellow or red or orange or green. All the colors of the rainbow are available to you. All those basket sponges, they looked blue until I flashed my light on it. They're kind of a maroon pink, right? So having a light underwater is definitely to your advantage. It will bring the light characteristics back of whatever you're looking at. And the ocean is a cavalcade of values of tons and tons of beautiful, amazing colors. Triggerfish, for example, come in about 18 different colors. They come from beautiful purples to oranges to yellows, blues to greens. They come in all these amazing colors. Now, the other thing that you have to be aware of is water has every guy's magical dream. Everything looks closer and bigger. 33% closer, 4 times larger. So when your husband comes back, he says, I saw a barracuda that was this big. Yeah. So fish stories are real, and there's a reason behind them. It was this big, I swear. And the reason I know that the sturgeon at the bottom of John's Hole Bridge are 7 to 8 feet is I laid down next to him, and when his head was above mine and his tail was below my fins, and I'm 6'2", I had to figure, okay, he has to be 7 to 8 feet. That's how I knew, right? But as you're swimming up to him, you're like, God, that's a big fish. And then you get up to him and you realize he's only 4 feet long or 5 feet long, right? So you measure utilizing your body. And there's been more than once that Nick and I are diving along and swimming at Ryer Reservoir, and we come across all these crawdads, right? It's spring, summer, fall, you come across the crawdads, and you look at it, you're like, God, that's a big crawdad. You should have seen the claw on that thing. The claw was that big. And you get it in your bag and you come back up and you're like, I swear I had some big ones in here. And you got,
However, on the flip side, we have also picked them up though, and I've laid them on my head with this claw thing,
yeah, so they are big. There are big ones, but you look at them, you're like, gosh, that's a monster. And then you put it in your bag and you're like, it's not as big as I thought it was. So be aware. The other thing about it is things look closer. What'll happen is until you get used to it, a lot of times you'll be like, I'm gonna get that pin. And it may take you more than once to get that. So just be aware that things look closer and bigger underwater. Another thing about it as well is water temperatures. We talked a little bit about that. You want to make sure that you're staying warm. Hypothermia is cumulative, and I'm pretty specific on hypothermia because we deal a lot with that around here, right? We dive these colder water temperatures into the 30s and below. At times we deal with that, but you can have that happen in the ocean as well. You could have an 82-degree surface temperature, and as you get down to 60 feet, it could be 76. And while 76 doesn't sound cold, I promise you, after about an hour in a 3-mil wetsuit, you're like, hello. And so adding little things like gloves, boots, and a beanie definitely go a long way to help make sure that you're retaining that warmth, or a thicker wetsuit. You can also add things, exo-wear underneath your wetsuits as well. So water temperatures are definitely something to be aware of. Next slide, please. And we're going to get into that a little bit more as we go along. And as we talked about earlier as well, diving is all about the accessories. Making sure that you have the proper gear for your dog is definitely a key thing. I'm just kidding, that's not a real thing. But as you can see, as I'm photographing the turtle, I've got my GoPro, I've got my light, I've got a computer, I've got a knife. That's just the accessories you can see really quickly and easily that are all just right there. The light so that I get the perfect on my my soft shell here, my GoPro, because I would definitely want to take a picture of it. I keep a knife usually on my wrist because it's easier for me to get to. It's a caver's trick. I could usually always reach my wrist, but I've usually got one here and one here as well. So I've got a knife that I can reach with either hand at any time. It's just, I can tell you, having it on my wrist has saved my bacon a few times in some pretty rough situations. So having a knife, a cutting tool of some kind, definitely a key thing, and definitely something you definitely want. And having a light as well. That light is hot pink, by the way. You can tell it's a little bit pink because Nikki's shining her light on me. So Now, the basic rules of scuba. I only have to say this 42 times for every class, so breathing continuous. The first rule of scuba is always breathe, breathe continuously. How about the second rule of scuba? What do you think that is? It's almost like you could read it. It is a very common thing. What you'll see a lot is as you start to do skills, you're concentrating enough on the skill that people will hold their breath on a regular basis. Yep, they'll get to that point because they're doing too many things and their brain overloads and they literally forget to breathe. You'll figure it out pretty quick, but there are some issues that go along, and we're going to talk about it on Thursday, that go along with always breathe as well, that are really important. I've seen it numerous times. Even with my dive, when I'm training up dive guides and assistant instructors, one of the things I have them do is we have them do skills in trim. They have to get in dive position, and they have to do the skills, like take their mask off, put the mask back on, but not float up or float down. I can get them perfectly in position and get them ready. Okay, you, mask drill 3, take your mask off. And just the other day, I was training one of my assistant instructors and working on him. And as soon as he got his mask off and started to put it back on, he shanked down and crashed. And then as he started getting it back on, he floated up, and he missed out outside of his. My requirement is they have to be able to do that in a 1 foot window. They can't float up more than a foot, can't float down more than a foot, right? So that's my requirement for them to pass that course. So what's happening is if they're able to stay in position, doing nothing and breathing, they've got it down. If they take their mask off and they float or sink, it means something's changed, and it has to be their breathing. So it's very, very common. When you guys start, we're going to do mask drills. When you guys start doing mask drills, just remember to always breathe, continuously breathe, always breathe. It's hugely important. It's easy to forget because you got that mask off all of a sudden. I've got the mask off. I must have to hold my breath because the mask is off. So always breathe. Third rule of scuba is?
Never dive alone or beyond your level of training.
Absolutely. So I'm certifying you guys to do open water dives autonomously with an equally or more qualified buddy. Up to 60 feet. That is your level of training. So you guys will be certified to go to 60 feet with a buddy who is equally trained and stay within the non-decompression limits. And we're going to go over that a lot more. So just recognize the term now, but realize I will talk to the point where you're like, I get it, Benjamin, shut the hell up, right? So that's what you're trained to do for a specific amount of time with a single tank to 60 feet with an equally or more qualified buddy. Next slide, please. Proper breathing patterns. Please don't dive like this. This was just a joke. Just relax. And you'll see me do this a lot. The first thing I want you guys to realize is when we get in the water, I want you to stop. And you're going to see me do this. I'm asking you guys to do 3 things when I give you my little Zen or yoga symbol, right? The first one is get your mind right. Relax. Realize I'm right there. Nikki's right there. You've got a dive buddy right there. You've got all the equipment. You're trained. We're good to go. Relax your brain. Nothing's going to hurt you. I got you. Relax. More problems happen because of mental than anything else. The second thing I'm asking you to do is relax your breathing. Just get that nice, relaxed, easy breathing. If you have nice, easy, relaxed breathing, you'll go through a lot less air. Anybody want to spend less time at the bottom? Okay, relax your breathing. That'll help you. The last thing I'm asking you to do is relax your body. And you'll see me, just relax the body. Get those muscles nice and relaxed. If you do those things, mind relaxed, breathing relaxed, body relaxed, you will have a far better dive. You'll enjoy your dive more. You'll go through less air. You'll see more stuff. You'll see me do this. This is a Benjamin specific. Nikki's seen me do this thousands of times. I probably did. That was our way of relaxing. And when we go down and we descend and we're at the bottom, you'll see me stop, zen out. Mind, breathing, body. Just relax. Enjoy. The proper breathing techniques should be slow and relaxed. Just relaxed breathing. Efficient breathing pattern is balanced and rhythmic. Don't hold your breath. Don't skip breaths. The delivery system will provide you all the air that's needed. Just breathe naturally. Don't hyperventilate on me. You're going to breathe to about 70% of the top of your lungs and down to about 30% of the bottom of your lungs. You're not trying to breathe everybody. Just think of if you were sitting in your car driving to Pocatello on a warm, sunny day. Listen to the radio, your favorite podcast, or whatever it is you listen on the radio, or watching Netflix while you're driving. Just kidding. Don't watch Netflix. Just kidding. Whatever you do that relaxes you on that nice, easy drive past Blackfoot to Pocatello, how would you be breathing? You probably wouldn't even be thinking about it, would you? Just breathing along, listen to whatever my podcast is, or whatever I like on the radio. That's how you should be breathing in scuba. Just normal, relaxed, easy breathing. Relaxed mind, relaxed breathing, relaxed body. Sound pretty easy? Next class, yes, sir.
So I was diving the wreck of the Rhone, and I got about halfway down. I just turned over, and it was like the coolest experience of my whole life. It was like being an astronaut.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized, oh, there's really nothing to be afraid of here. It's just the most amazing experience ever.
Absolutely. This should feel like riding on a go-kart in Central Park. Just nice, easy, relaxed. We're just enjoying the sights. That's really all we're doing. That's why I say I'm teaching you to do nothing. Focus on this square foot of ocean. And when you think you got this one figured out, check it out a few more times and then move to the next square foot. That's all we're doing. Next slide, please. Hand and arm signals. Just remember, I need an XL. Damn, I broke another nail. The YMCA is fun. I'm just kidding. These are not really hand and arm signals. Next slide. Simple enough. Okay. Not okay. Going up, going down. Easy enough. When you first hit the water, I'm okay. You want to do it nice and big for the dive master. I'm okay. Now, I'm going to change this up just a little bit for you guys. And this is how Nikki and I dive, and this is how we prefer to dive. This one's going to be what? Yeah, it is a question. Level off. Yep, just level off. Get in dive position, right? Going down, right? Something's wrong.
My ears hurt.
Exactly.
My ears.
I'm going to change that one. That's going to be a little different for me. This, for me, means end of dive. When you see me do this, our dive is done. We're going up. Now, this is important, and I can't stress this enough. Anybody can end a dive for any reason at any time with no consequence. I'd like to say that again. Anybody can end a dive for any reason at any time with no consequence. It's important, and here's why. So you and I, Miss Nada Sullivan, we're fast friends, right? We became BFFs, right? You were just like, Nikki couldn't go on a dive, your husband couldn't go on a dive. We decided we went to Palau, spent us $6,000 each to go to Palau.
Wow.
Right? We are going to dive the Excelsior wreck, dream wreck, right? 75 feet down. It's a beautiful World War II wreck. We're going to dive it together. We jump in the water. We go down 15 feet. We're down for less than a minute. You give me the end of dive because whatever. I come to the surface with you and I'm like, John! I throw a little man fit, right? Oh, I can't believe $6,000. How safe will you be on dive 2? Exactly. But if I come up, hey, are you okay? Are they okay? What's going on? Just not feeling it? Cool. Hey, let's go back and get a Mai Tai. How safe will you be on dive 2? Exactly. If there's no consequence, sometimes you're just not feeling it. I have a strict rule. I call it the 3 O shits. If I have 3 issues, decent size issues, starting into a dive or in a dive, I end the dive. period. I realize that the lake, ocean, and river will be there tomorrow. I would rather be able to visit it tomorrow alive. So, and Nikki will tell you, I've had divers. I had a diver come out, drove up here from Utah to take a class specifically for me, for tech. We got in the water, we got out to the buoy. He'd had 3 shits. I said, nope, turn around, go back. We're done. Drove up from Utah to take a class for me. Took a week on and off of work. Sorry, bud. Try it again another weekend. I have no problem with that. None whatsoever. I have no problem ending a dive for me that's not working, and I have no problem ending a dive for somebody else that's not working. 3 shits and we're done. We'll call it. We'll go back. We'll go to get tacos. That's our favorite after dive menu. Is we go over and get tacos. It's a great way to end a dive, right? So don't be afraid to call a dive anytime for any reason. Right? Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. So as we kind of continue this diving journey and think about this, there's some different levels. The first one is that you guys would really be advantageous for you guys to try and achieve. It's called Master Diver. Master Diver requires 50 dives, 4 specialties, and stress and rescue. It's the highest recreational diver that you can become. Now, you might think, why do I want to be a Master Diver? If you can get Master Diver before the end of the year, SSI will enter you into an all-expense trip for 2 on a liveaboard for 7 days on an aggressor liveaboard. So, absolutely. And if you haven't heard of a liveaboard, what you basically do is you get on the boat, they go to a dive site, and you dive all day. And then you get up, or you get back on the boat, you eat, and then you dive. And you get back on the boat, and you eat, and you tell stories, and then you dive. You get back on the boat, you eat, you tell more stories, and you get back on the water. And you do that for 7 days. And then the aggressor, yes, it's a very nice boat. Absolutely. So it's on an aggressor. So that you get entered for everybody that makes Master Diver by the end of the year gets entered into that. But not only that, you also will have by that point the experience to be a very quality diver. You'll be able to be in the water comfortably. That comes with, you need to do 4 specialties, and there's a lot of specialties out there. I've got a few go-tos that I like. One of them that I'm going to encourage this class to take is called Nitrox. Nitrox is a basic course that I think every diver should take. And here's why I say that. Anybody want to be able to dive longer? Safer? Absolutely. How about diving safer? Does safer diving sound good to everybody? How about less time on the surface between dives? Sound good? How about more energy after a dive? Then Nitrox is for you. Nitrox is a higher percentage of oxygen that increases your safety margin, allows you to be able to stay down longer. It's about a 2-hour course. I'll be teaching it next Friday for anybody that's interested in taking that course. It's a great course. It's a lifetime certification. Once you're certified Nitrox, you are good to go. I encourage everybody to take Nitrox as one of your first classes as part of open water. If you take Nitrox, we'll also set you up with Nitrox for day 2 of your open water that we're doing on the 27th and 28th. So you'll have that chance to dive Nitrox as well. Honestly, truthfully, you won't notice any difference, but there is a slight narcotic effect with a higher percentage of oxygen that gives you a bit of an woohoo, hello. So I encourage it. And like I said, now the good news is you do not have to come into the dive shop for that class. I do it via Zoom. And you can sit at home. Honestly, I will be in jammy pants and a polo with a nice drink next to me. So you can do the same. Make it a family event. Have sandwiches if you like at your home, and dress in your jammies or whatever you are most comfortable in. So I encourage it. It's like I said, it's a lifetime certification, and you have to have a Nitrox card to be able to dive Nitrox worldwide. And Nitrox is pretty much available worldwide. So that's my encouragement. We also do a mentorship program for our master divers and our dive guides as well, and dive masters. And what that looks like is you say, hey, I'd like to be mentored to that point. We say, great, awesome, come dive with us. And we invite you back out to more classes like this. Any class that you've already taken, you're invited to come back to. You're invited to come back into the pool, and we help guide you to that process of where you want to go. So we help you find those classes that are interesting to you, like Nitrox or night and limited visibility. I love diving at night. The cool stuff comes out at night, like octopus comes out at night. Giant squids come out at night. It's really cool. I was diving Hawaii one time just off the breakers of Maui with a buddy. And we were about 30 feet, and we came across a squid, and I'm not kidding you, he was this big. He was just beautiful maroon squid, just kind of chilling right there by this big horseshoe reef. And I looked at it for the longest time, and I was like, cool. And this is about 10 o'clock at night. We're diving, right? It's pitch black outside. And then after about 2 or 3 minutes of seeing the giant squid, it was like, I kind of want to see other stuff with the giant squid. And we were at this cool reef we kind of knew. And I told my buddy, I says, I'm going to swim around the reef. And he's like, go for it. So I swam around the reef, saw some stuff, came back, and there was this beautiful royal blue squid, same size. And I was like, whoa, seeing one 6-foot squid is amazing. Seeing 2 in one dive, it's unheard of. And I looked at him like, 2? He's like, 1. It had changed colors. And I'd missed it, by the way. We were diving in Honduras one time, Nikki and I, and we came across this lobster that was just, it was about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, and we had our red lights on, so he couldn't see us. Our lights will switch over to red. And he's just doing his little lobster walk. And I came along, and I touched one of his little antennae, and he couldn't see. He's like, okay. And he kind of relaxed, and he went back to his little lobster walk, and I touched his other little antenna. He's like, it was so much fun. And then on the same dive, we came across this little octopus, probably a head about like this, and he was doing his octopus walk. It was really cool. He came across this piece of brain coral, and he touches it, and he's like, and he encompassed it completely. It was so cool. So, and then he figured out, oh, wait a minute, this is brain coral, this is not good. And he came across it, he touched his fish for about a second, and he was over top of it. You can see the fish inside trying to get away, and he's like, I gotcha. And he ate the fish. Cool stuff comes out at night. Well, we can help you find those courses, deep course, navigation course, things like that get you to that point. There's all kinds of cool specialties. Like my personal favorite, lake elk diver instructor. I'm a lake diver, lake elk instructor. I'm just kidding. That's not a real specialty. But we dive Yellowstone. This is Yellowstone Lake, and that was our dive site. There was 5 bull elk standing in the lake at our dive site. So something fun. Next slide. So tonight, by the way, this is Owen. Owen is the cutest little snorkeler and grandson a man could ever ask for. This is his day going and finding the manatees. So we went and dove with the manatees in Crystal Springs. So tonight we're going to put our face in the water with our mask on, and we're going to learn to breathe through a snorkel. And I just want to see you guys breathe through a snorkel. We're going to do some basic buoyancy checks. We're going to put our total diving system on. We're going to learn how to clear our mask with the snorkel. We're going to learn some flutter kicking, how to establish positive buoyancy, some equalization techniques. We're going to learn to do a head-first snorkel dive. From there, we're going to do some snorkel finning techniques. We're going to learn how to surface. We're going to talk about cramp removals, entries and exits. We're also going to establish perfect buoyancy at the surface. We're going to do a basic wake check in our scuba gear. We're going to do a no mask swim in our scuba gear. And then finally, we're going to have some playtime in scuba gear to let you guys have some fun doing what we do. Now, if everybody would turn to the back and look, this is Caleb. Caleb will be our assistant instructor today, and he will be teaching you snorkeling and how to put your gear together. Absolutely. So he will be certifying you guys as snorkeling divers tonight, and he will be also going through all the pieces of that, and then also helping you guys get in your scuba gear and helping you put your scuba gear together correctly. It's very important that you guys learn how to put your scuba gear together on your own. We'll be helping you with that, but each class will be helping you less and less. My favorite class of that is on night 3. Usually I get 2 or 3 mistakes where somebody puts it all the way together, gets it all the way on, and I get to tell them, you think that's right? And they say, I don't think so. I says, well, maybe you need to take it all off and take it apart and put it back together right. And they're like, oh, okay. And then we help guide them. But I will let you, by night 3, I will let you make mistakes, but I won't let you get in the water with mistakes. So you will learn more that way. So I'm a big hands-on learner. I want you guys to touch, feel, and taste literally all the gear and all the pieces and have fun with it. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Pretty easy stuff. If Owen can snorkel, you can snorkel too. And Owen, by the way, in that picture, I think he was 4 or 5. So if he can do it with the 15-foot manatees, you can do it in the 11-foot pool. Sound good? Yes, I'm looking at you, Miss Sullivan. You said you were afraid of water, so if little Owen can do it, you can do it too. So, any questions, concerns, comments? It is plenty warm out there, so how'd you do?
Fat mans can float.
Fat mans can float. Right on. Jason's one of my open water students. Go ahead and cut it off.